Well, hey there everybody, it's Snackbox coming to you from a little bit of a soon-to-be rainy day here in Atlanta, Georgia. It's still beautiful though. I'm happy to be here, ready to talk to you about segment 24 of the Colorado Trail. This one is a doozy. It'll break your heart, it'll break your knees, but the scenery will French kiss you on the eyes. Gross. Let's get to it. So segment 24 of the Colorado Trail travels roughly 20.2 miles from the Stony Pass trailhead all the way to Mullis Pass. This one is a doozy. It goes down in elevation about 5,200 feet and back up in elevation about 3,500 feet. That's right, I said down in elevation 5,200 feet and back up. And that back up is a really important detail here because basically what's going to happen is the trail is going to go straight down into a valley, into a river wash, and straight back up to Mullis Pass. So it's basically shaped like a V if you look at the elevation profile, and it is a knee buster. So you need to be ready for it. It's super beautiful, I can promise you that. And so long as you're ready for it, I think you're gonna do really well throughout this segment, but we got a lot to cover. So let's get right into it. My first tip for you actually has less to do with the elevation rise and fall than it does with the very beginning of the segment right there at the Stony Pass trailhead. For the first 7 miles or so, you're gonna be staying in that Narnia section that we talked about in the last 2 segments. This is really beautiful, high plains. It's gonna stay up really high in elevation. But what's gonna happen is when you start this segment, often there are going to be sheep in the area. Big herds of sheep just everywhere, absolutely everywhere. Now sheep won't hurt you, and that's not really the worry or concern here, but what you need to know is that often these sheep are left unshepherded. People in charge of the sheep will actually leave a couple of Great Pyrenees. These are great big giant dogs like my 2 girls, but they are meant to be shepherds. They're meant to guard the flock. They won't hurt you so long as you give the sheep a really wide berth. So basically my first tip here is if you should come across a herd of sheep, which is pretty likely in this segment, you want to give them a wide berth. For me, this meant giving them about 150 feet. And this was the one time in my entire trip of the Colorado Trail that I thought gut hooks was a much better resource for me than the data book. The data book I love. If you've been watching this series, you know that I absolutely adore the data book. But the data book won't help you get back on trail if you have to get off trail to get around a herd of sheep, where gut hooks will. Even without cell phone service, gut hooks will help you find the trail. And this can be really important because as much as you think you know where the trail is, I found it to be really challenging when I had to give a wide berth to these sheep. I didn't think I was going off trail that far, but the truth be told, if I didn't have gut hook, I could have been lost pretty easily, even in an area without any trees to sort of get lost around. So just know that this is a good time. If you have gut hooks, or if you haven't spent the $20 to buy the Colorado Trail on gut hooks, I encourage you to do so. My second tip is all about that sort of rise and fall, that area of the rise and fall that I've been talking about, and especially that descent. That one is really critical. And here's what I'm going to recommend to you is that when you're looking at the elevation chart and you're really thinking through where you're going to stop for the night and how you're going to make your way through this segment, I 100% recommend breaking up the descent and the climb into 2 separate days. I recommend that you take that descent and you go all the way down to the river, you find a good campsite, there are lots down there by the river, and then you make your way up to Mullis Pass the next morning. Now in Mullis Pass, you can catch a hitch into Silverton. You can even before Mullis Pass catch the train into Silverton. It is going to be running this year. It's a little bit pricey, but if you decide to go into Silverton, it's a really great way to go, especially if you're not comfortable with hitchhiking. I'm personally very comfortable with hitchhiking, but I'm also a dude, so if you're not comfortable or you don't feel safe hitchhiking, I totally get it. The train is a really good option, and I think it's about $100 round trip, and $100 round trip or even $200 round trip for your peace of mind. I think that's worth it generally speaking, or you can walk your way into Silverton the next morning, however it goes. What I do think is really wise is for you to try to stop in the valley that night. That way you get the really hard descent in late one night, you get down to safety, especially if it's going to be storming up above on that plateau. Make your way down, set up camp, and then you can climb that next climb back the 3,500 feet to Mullis Pass the next day. It is a pretty tough climb, but it's not as tough as the descent. This is one of those segments where you're going to learn pretty quickly that the descent can be just as hard as the ascent. I don't know. I feel like an ascent just saying that. You know what I mean? My next tip is about that river valley. Now, the Colorado Trail Foundation has secured a couple of grants to take care of this problem, but currently there are 4 blowdown areas in that valley as you make your way down to the Elk Creek and that basin where the Elk Creek, Animas River, and the Mullis Creek all meet. Down there are 4 different blowdown areas where avalanches have taken trees down, and you have to pick your way across them. The good news is currently 3 of the routes have been flagged, so you can basically pick your way over the trees as safely as possible with these little pink flags that show you where they've sort of started cutting out a route over those blowdowns. However, the Colorado Trail, as I mentioned, did get a grant to start going in and cutting down and fixing up that path so you can walk through, hopefully like we did a couple of years ago. For right now, if you make it through early in the season, you're gonna have to pick your way over those blowdowns. So my third tip for you through this segment is, even though it looks like you're gonna be able to make a lot of time in this segment whenever it starts leveling off, you're actually going to slow up from there a good bit. So allot an extra hour or two to make sure you pick your way through there safely. If you're planning to make your way to Silverton for, say, a hotel reservation or something of the sort, you want to make big miles up on the front end of the trip, on the front end of the segment, and then you get down to that basin and you have extra time to pick your way over those trees and logs, which are pretty tough. And if it's rainy, which it's likely to be early in the season during what they call monsoon season, you can make sure that you're nice and safe getting through there, because if those logs are slippery, that's an added complication for you. Now, here's why it gets tricky, even if you're going later in the season, is that this is in a wilderness area, and wilderness areas basically mean nothing motorized can work there, including chainsaws. So even if the crew is working really quickly, which I anticipate they will be, and they're going to be working really hard to clear that trail for you, it's still going to take them a while to make their way through these 4 blowdown sections. So anticipate that you're going to have to climb over some blowdowns at some point throughout the segment. That's totally okay. You've made it this far. If you've made it this far, a couple of blowdowns aren't going to slow you up, or maybe they are going to slow you up, but they're not going to stop you. You're going to make your way through, but giving yourself extra time is going to be really important, because you don't want to get in a hurry through there and end up getting hurt, twisting an ankle, or slipping off a log and scraping your leg on some of the broken branches. That's happened to me more than once. So make sure you give yourself a little extra time there. My last tip-ish is that if you're planning to go into Silverton, you want to make sure you get there early. Silverton is a really sort of quirky town. It's definitely touristy. It's really popular with motorcyclists because it's right at the front end of the $1 Million Highway that will take motorcyclists all the way over to Ouray and to Telluride. It's a really beautiful road. If you get a chance, certainly take a trip over to those 2 different towns. Just the trip alone is incredible and worth it. However, if you get there, what you need to know is that the cheaper lodging is often booked up well in advance. There is always lodging there if you're willing to drop $400 a night on a bougie hotel. Many of you might be, and many of you might think that that's not worth it. But if you get there early, you're going to have a much better chance of getting an affordable room, especially if you're willing to split with a couple of people. You can often get a room with a couple of different beds so that you get an opportunity to get a shower, maybe resupply, get back on the trail the next day. And you know what? I'm just throwing out tips everywhere today. I'm feeling real tippy. You know what I mean? I don't either. When you get to the Mullis Pass, if you decide not to go into Silverton, I still encourage you to take a side trip over to Mullis Pass Campground, because there's a snack bar there. Yeah, I said it, snack bar. Of course I'm going to mention the snacks. There's some great snacks over there. I had probably 6 ice cream sandwiches, 3 packs of M&Ms, and 7 Diet Cokes when I went there. Can you imagine if I went in and I ordered 6 ice cream sandwiches and like a small Diet Coke? I might have to do that. There's a snack bar there. Get some cold drinks and kind of rest up a little bit before making your way straight into San Juans. That's right. If you've made it this far, you're heading straight into the belly of the San Juans. There's a really beautiful segment coming up to finish up the whole entire trip. I think it's just incredible. You're going to love it. We're going to be coming back to you soon with segment 25 of the Colorado Trail. We only have 4 left. I can't believe it, to be honest. It's been almost half a year since I started this whole project, and really working hard to get them all out to you. So I hope you've enjoyed them. I hope you find them helpful. If you did, I hope you'll click like and subscribe below. That would be super helpful to us as we build the channel. And then lastly, if you've not sent me a message on Instagram yet to get your outside comfort zone sticker, send me a message at Backcountry Champion on Instagram and I'll get one in the mail to you. If you're waiting on one and you haven't seen it in a little while, feel free to send me a message. I got a ton of requests all at once and I tried to get them all out, but if I've accidentally overlooked you, I don't want you to miss out on a sticker. Send me a message, say Snackbox, what gives? Give me my sticker. I want it, and I will get it in the mail to you. I'm so very grateful for the community that's building here. I'm really grateful for all the friends that I've made so far. Looking forward to talking to you all soon. Hoping to get to meet you all out there in Colorado. Looking forward to seeing you somewhere between Denver and Durango. Hope it's nice where you are. I'm going to close up this camera and get out of here before the rain starts pouring down. Take care, everybody. This Snackbox out.